right? No, not
Both.
that's gonna be sad, man. Is it because you started the live? Hello, GenRight Nation. Hope everybody's doing well. We are coming to you live from Bali. And Jennings took me here for my birthday, my 60th birthday, and we are having a great time. We're actually staying here right outside the monkey forest. And we've got a great hotel here. What's it called? The Bali Bohemian? Yeah, so pretty cool place. We are, although it's evening there, we're 15 hours ahead of you. So it's actually Thursday morning here. We just got up, grabbed our coffee, and got ready to come to you guys. As you know, I'm dedicated to never miss a tech talk with you guys and gals. Appreciate everybody watching, and hope everybody's doing well. I want to give you a quick bit about Bali, just a few tidbits, and then we'll go right into choosing the best shocks for your Jeep. So sit tight and I'll get to it. First off, Bali is the crown jewel of all of Indonesia, and it is a very spiritual place. Population is about 4.4 million, and in comparison, just to give you an idea for you Americans, it's very similar to our Hawaiian island, Maui, in size. However, Maui only has 164,000 people versus 4.4 million people here. Mostly Hindu, but there are some Buddhists and some Christians here. It's actually very nice to see the spirituality, and they make daily offerings, up to about 15 of these offerings per day. The entire family lives together. So the kids, the grandkids, the parents, the grandparents, everybody lives together on one property. They have their own temple that they pray at every day. And to give you another idea, they have a day of silence, an entire day of silence in March. That's an annual thing. And another example is their babies are not allowed to be placed on the ground for the first 3 months of their life. So it's a very interesting spirituality that they practice and enjoy. There are 2 active volcanoes on this island, and we visited the rice terraces, which are very unique to this area as well. There are white and black sand beaches on this island, which is pretty cool. And this is also the home to the luwak coffee. If you're not familiar with what that is, it is the most expensive coffee in the world. And it's where the animal, which is kind of similar to a mongoose, eats the coffee bean and then poops it out, and then it helps to smooth it out. But they take it and process it, and produces a beautifully smooth coffee. So we call it poop coffee. So Let's see what else I had. I think that's pretty much it. 80% of the economy here revolves around tourism. So it's very touristy, and mostly Australians and Chinese visit here. So we're very close to Australia, actually. Depending on where they live in Australia, anywhere from 6 to 3 hours away. So pretty close, kind of like us going to Hawaii. Anyways, Jennings, who we got watching?
There's a lot of comments about the poop coffee. Jeep Pope Dennis says, talking shit, coffee. Ricky Turner says, like to complain about my coffee. It's a little runny. Rich Schroeder's watching. Steve Bird says, that's a hard pass. Ricky Turner says, hi. Deborah Carnell, hello from Chandler. What a beautiful place.
Nice.
Keith Crum says, hello, GenRight from Spencer, Indiana. Gabriel Figueroa, saludos from Puerto Rico. Matt McDonough, heck yeah, happy birthday, Tony. Kathy McCavis, happy birthday. Keith Basham, very nice, happy birthday. Rich R says hello from Florida. Derek Moeller says, happy birthday, Tony. Keith Nieces says, hope you have another safe trip around the sun. Happy birthday, Tony. Heaven Guard says, hi. Richard Peterson says, hi. Carlos Orocho is watching. Eric Lee Santani is watching. Miguel Angel. Thomas Chandler says, great shirt. Donovan Teal. Cameron Clegg says, hello from Lake Powell. Albert Gutierrez says, hi, guys.
Nice.
Josh Nesser is watching and says, hi, Tony and Jennings and everyone else. Summer Ann says, good morning. Jeremy Smallwood is watching. Your mom is watching. Hope you're loving your trip as much as we've loved the posts. Alex Israel is watching. Randy Hemme says, happy birthday, Tony. Esther Parrott Newcomb is watching. Let's see. Michael James Aha. Cameron Clegg. Chris Runkle says, thank you for sharing all of Bali with us.
It's really cool.
Patrick Vaughn's watching, says hi from San Diego to Bali.
Nice.
Mark Lawrence says hello. Bobby Cleveland says they are watching from Yukon, Oklahoma. This is Amy's first time.
Nice.
And
hopefully we're coming through loud and clear and the video's good.
Oh, Jeff and Stacy Israel are watching and they say hi. Hi, guys. Summer Ann says hello, GenRight family. Bobby Cleveland. As Scary 11 says, Tony looks too comfortable and relaxed. Quick, someone say ORIs are better than coilovers. Stacy says, hi guys, happy birthday, Tony. Love all the pictures, Jennings. Kim Nesser's watching. Hi, Kimmy.
Wow, a little of everybody. All right, I like it.
Chris Carey.
I do want to say thank you to everybody, a heartfelt thank you for all the birthday wishes over on Facebook and here this morning to us here in Bali. I really appreciate it and enjoy everybody's friendship, and all of you make my life better. So thank you very much.
Kim wants to know what the poop coffee tastes like.
It's good.
Tastes just like poop. No, just kidding.
No, it tastes just like coffee.
It's really smooth coffee. It takes the process takes all the acidity out.
Yes.
They thoroughly clean the beans before brewing and roasting.
Yes. The other thing I forgot to add, Jennings' favorite part about Bali is this
the
is
spas
home to the most spas
in the world.
The
highest concentration in the world.
Yes.
There's like 1,500 spas on this little tiny island.
Just to give you an idea, you can get a massage here, a 1-hour massage for about $12.
No way, like $7.
It's awesome.
$12 was for 2 hours of massage and facial. You got that wrong. $12 an hour would be a ripoff in Bali.
So it's nice, and we've had a massage just about every
day.
So
everything is cheap.
I look so relaxed. It's very nice. It's also morning, and usually I come to you guys at the end of my day when I'm exhausted. So now we're hit. Did you pan around?
No, and we are right outside the monkey forest, and there are regularly monkeys on the roof, on the porch. Yesterday I came back and one of them was drinking out of the pool here.
Yeah, pan around and show them how beautiful this property is.
Okay, doesn't this look like some, you know, super expensive, fancy, like, resort? I think it was like $50 a night. With breakfast. Here's a little touch. I mean, they're all like this.
Yeah. Yeah, come back closer. The one that we stayed at for my birthday was $300 a night, and it was like over the top crazy.
Over the top nice.
Had a fire dancing show and a fancy dinner, and you know, just yeah. Jennings has been taking good care of me, so.
Lots of monkeys were here.
And
before
just
they'll
this morning
probably
we walked
show
out
up.
to get coffee, and they were all over the place.
They actually have like a stick at the restaurant so they can beat the monkeys back if they try to steal your food.
A piece of bamboo, yeah.
Jamie says, looks like fun, old man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, so we're going to get to Tech Talk, the actual Tech Talk. I got a bunch of questions about how to choose the right shock length for your vehicle. One of our customers is very confused. He hears people talking about 10-inch, 12-inch, 14-inch. You know, he's like, Tony, how do I get this right? So we're gonna move over to a pad of paper, and I'm gonna talk about that. What do you
Josh says, you beat the monkey, huh? I didn't. There's just a stick.
Okay, let's head over. We're gonna sit down out in front of our room.
Get that.
Yep.
Now Tammy Bird wants to go. You should. It's
It's really nice.
the most expensive part is the flight. It's about $1,200 and it's long. It's like 20 hours. But we just slept. Woke up refreshed.
Okay, are you gonna sit down, or are you gonna?
Well, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Then I can kind of
What
balance.
do you want me to do with this? Are you gonna use this anymore?
No.
Just sit down.
Yeah. Happy
Okay.
birthday, Tony.
Thanks.
This one's a little foggy. Hold on.
Oh, geez.
Sorry, guys.
Okay. Let's see. I want to make sure I don't forget anything.
Any Jeeps on Bali?
We saw one.
Very
okay,
few because they're very, very, very
very
expensive.
More expensive than most people would spend for a home.
Yeah.
So we saw one black Rubicon here, and what you'll find interesting, maybe we can even show them a picture, is that they have little Suzukis here, like a Samurai, and they put Jeep on the side. Let me see if I have a picture.
Complete with like photos of JKs and big tires, but that's not what they are.
That's not
They're Suzuki Samurais. They're called Suzuki Jimmies, but they call them Jeeps. Ours had like a Harley Davidson badge on the side, and Jeep is just like whatever logo they feel like putting on, they do.
I know it. Here it is, right here. I took a picture of this one. So that's clearly a Samurai.
Yeah.
But it's got a
They
big
say Jeep.
logo, an actual logo. on
Some
the
of them
side.
even say Wrangler.
Yeah.
Some of them say National Geographic.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
And the people like us, we rode in the back all the way up to the top of Mount Batur,
Volcano.
the volcano, for a sunrise. And we actually, do I have any pictures of that on there?
Like, for example, both of us get picked up in a private car. We get driven like an hour away to the volcano. We transfer to a Suzuki Jeep to a different driver who drives us up to the top of the volcano for the sunrise and takes a million pictures of us for free, you know. And then lunch or breakfast was included with coffee up there. And then they took us to a hot spring down below, and the whole thing was $47.
So this is us with our Jeep. Our guide was taking the picture. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then let me get one of the actual sunrise. It was colder than we thought up on the mountain.
Bobby Cleveland said, that's hilarious. Amy drove a Samurai in high school.
Let's see.
Still rocking the yellow hat, even on vacation.
Even on vacation. Let's see.
But nobody in Bali knows GenRight or Jeeps or who Tony is, so
Here's a picture of us watching the sun come up.
so
Really
cool.
They served us breakfast.
Breakfast.
In the Suzuki.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good.
Yeah, it was great.
We just had breakfast. It was $3 each. For eggs, bacon, banana pancakes, orange juice, coffee,
There we go.
and fresh fruit.
The sun just coming up. And by the way, there's like 100 Suzukis
Yeah.
up there. Let me see if I have a picture of that. I know we took one. All of them. No, I don't have it on here.
Can you put a legend suspension on a samurai?
You can.
Yeah?
Yes, you can.
Okay, Tony's favorite part by far are the scooters and the what they carry on them.
Yeah, I know I have pictures of that.
Most people
Here, look at this one. This
drive
is from
scooters.
yesterday. There's a scooter buried underneath there. That
apparently they're a towel or blankets or something.
Yeah. I mean, this is just one of many. We saw one yesterday.
Families of 5 on one scooter.
Yeah.
Yesterday we saw one that was like a whole food stall, like set up where they were making fresh food off the back of it.
Yeah.
There was one transporting like
Oh.
like
well, show 'em
50
this.
flats of
Here's-
eggs.
You don't have Uber here. You have something called
Well,
Gojek or Grab, and the guy gives
Scooter
you a helmet,
Uber.
and you just hop on, because in a car you can't get anywhere. There's so many people that a scooter, they drive on the sidewalks. They're crazy. It's like the beginning of the Baja.
you think they're all
1000.
gonna crash and die, but they
They
don't.
don't. Somehow they don't. Somehow.
Samurai to LJ stretch. You could definitely live well on your pension here, Steve, for sure.
Here's the poop coffee sampler.
This is all free, by the way.
Yeah.
You only pay for a cup of poop coffee if you want it.
Yeah. Otherwise, you get the sample.
Luwak, Kopi Luwak coffee.
Kopi Luwak.
It's
yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
Promise.
Yeah.
Zero poop.
I thought the thing kind of looked like a raccoon, but I guess it's more related to the mongoose.
In Thailand, they have elephant poop coffee. That's like $25 a cup. Here, it's $5 a cup for Luwak coffee. That's like really
this is
expensive
the place we're staying at
tonight.
tonight.
We're moving all around.
Yeah, we've been moving around, which was actually a blessing in disguise. We're not going to go into the details on that. Okay, let's talk about shocks and stuff.
Okay.
Sound good?
Let's talk about Jeeps.
All right. And I'll take regular questions too. So if you guys have other questions, just fire away. All right. Okay. So I grew up on a dirt bike. And can you see this? Are you
Yeah.
watching? Okay. On a dirt bike, what they do is they put the shock way inside here, right? So you have a ton of leverage, the wheels out here, a ton of leverage, and the shock only has about 3 or 4 inches of travel. But out here, because you've leveraged this out here, it's 12 inches, okay? So it's no different on a trophy truck or even a Jeep, okay? So on your Jeep, what happens is you do this. I'll draw your axle, right, your pumpkin,
Hi, Tyler.
your C's, your tires.
Steve says he'll personally make you some coffee this year for Christmas.
Yeah, nice. Okay, on your Jeep, what happens is your shocks are typically mounted here, right? So you'll have a shock like this. Okay, so you get a similar effect here because your shock is way inboard here and your tire is outboard here. So there's an additional, as this swings, even if you have a 10-inch travel shock, you might have 14 inches out here of wheel travel, okay?
Did you guys know Tony's left-handed? Now you know.
Okay, now, where a lot of the questions or understanding has to come from is around your steering box, which is mounted right here inside the frame. And then you have a short piece of linkage called a drag link that comes over to the knuckle, okay? So, what's important to understand, and this is where most people miss it, is that this joint right here that's attached to the pitman arm, and here, but mostly here, has a limited range of motion. And if you put a longer shock on both sides of the Jeep, right, on the front axle, what happens is as the shock opens up, as we've shown it in this picture, at what we call full droop, this thing will stop rotating and it will actually be holding this wheel up, okay? But it'll only do that a couple of times before it breaks, okay? So what you need to do is, if you take your shocks off and you carefully jack your Jeep up and down, because your Jeep's up here, right? This is the rest of the Jeep up here, okay? You can find out where this bind point is, and it's important to turn the wheels left and right as you check this point, because that changes. Now, you have to limit your travel before that. A good, to be safe, I'd say inch. You could do it as little as a half an inch, but it should really be an inch shorter.
Your mom asked, does Mickey Thompson make those square tires?
Here, I'll put some tread on there for you.
Yes, those are definitely Mickey's.
Okay. Now, we're going to go to our next piece of paper, because there's an additional consideration.
So twisted pitman arm?
Twisted pitman arm helps. Okay, so a standard pitman arm is flat, right? Standard pitman arm, your bolt goes through, right? And you've got your heim rod here, right? So this comes off like that. Okay, so on a twisted pitman arm, what we do is we rotate it, because you have more down travel than you have up. So now when you put the bolt through here, it's already rotated so that this axle can drop out further without binding, okay? Because there's only so much rotation in these joints, okay? So yeah, twisted pitman arm versus standard pitman arm. Good question. Okay, now for my next diagram here.
Would you recommend limit straps?
Always, always. So, you should be horrified to find out how little is actually holding your shock together. So, whether it's the bolts on your shock, which are not very big, and when you think about how heavy an axle is, you know, an axle's anywhere from 300 pounds to 600 pounds heavy, right? So every time your suspension extends, it's yanking on that shock. And trust me, I mean yanking on it. And when your shock breaks, your spring, you know, jumps out and goes somewhere, and then you got a giant mess, which is very difficult to deal with. So a limit strap is very important, because not only does it prevent that from happening, but it actually protects the shock. So when you're either pulling forward or backing up, you know, a lot of the time your tire will drop into a hole. Well, that's when everything is at its most delicate and exposed point, right? It's the weakest. And, you know, if for some reason your tire doesn't climb, it's going to keep going down and pulling on that. And you know what kind of torque and power your vehicle has. So it's nothing to just yank a shock apart. So where I was getting to was, inside the shock, where the shaft meets the body, is just a tiny little 3/8 nut. And you know, when you just keep yanking on that, and shocks that aren't made as good, it's just a clip. So yeah, your shocks really are not good limiting straps. You need to have a limiting strap. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is, if this is the Jeep here. Okay,
It's very humid,
It
and
is very humid.
the humidity is making my case fog up. So I'm gonna try to get, try to get
Don't disconnect.
trying to get the
Don't
case
disconnect.
off.
Oh boy. Oh, she's getting it. She's getting it.
Hold on.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
better. Let me just rub the lens. Sorry, guys. There. Okay, now they're both clear.
My old iPhone's looking pretty good right now. Okay. So the next thing.
Wait, question is, how do you know what size limit strap to use?
Okay, so what you want to do, we go back to this drawing. Okay, so say whatever shock you have on there, you want to let it go to full extension, and then you want to order 1 inch to a half an inch shorter. Limit straps typically come in 1 inch increments. And so say, for instance, and by the way, when we talk about shocks, when we say it's a 10 inch or 12 inch, that's the amount of travel on the shaft, okay? So, but you're not going to worry about that. You're, hang on here, because there's a couple different things. So the limit strap, let me draw a different picture.
Okay, sorry guys. It's hard to balance 2 phones and 2 hands and all this.
So this is your differential, right? And this is your frame. Okay, so most of the time what we do is, say there's a control arm mount here, and then the control arm comes back, right? A lot of the time what we do is on the frame, we'll weld a tab like this. And then the limit strap will come down like so, okay? And you just have to make sure that this strap limits the suspension 1 inch, so normal shock, right, comes down like so. And you want to make sure that it limits it 1 inch before the 1 inch. Okay? And the strap stretches. So if your axle is actually hanging, what will happen is that inch will disappear to 0, especially once the strap is a little bit older, it'll be the same length as the shock. So that's why we tell you to get the strap 1 inch shorter. It's important, okay? So now that we've talked about that, let's go back to my other drawing. Okay, so we talked about how off the steering box, right, you've got a limitation with your steering over here. Now, let's talk about off the transfer case. Okay, so you've got your drive shafts that come out and go down to the axle here. And I know these are Fred Flintstone drawings, but I'm trying to make this quick. Okay, so just like your steering, your drive shaft right here has a limited amount of angle that it can turn. And when you're checking to see what length shock you can run, you need to check the steering and the drive shaft. These are important, front and rear, okay? Same on the rear. You want to make sure that these 2 points do not bind. And in order to check that, when you think you've got it, you need to rotate the drive shaft and make sure, because the way a U-joint's built, the one way it'll really articulate, but you got to make sure that it'll go around the little T, or the cross they call it, that it'll go around. And you do that by rotating the drive shaft. You have to make sure that you do not exceed that, or you will blow stuff up. Whether you blow up the U-joint or you wreck the output shaft, you're going to wreck something. So you have to make sure you stay a little bit above that. Even when everything, flexes and stretches, you got to stay a little bit above that, okay? So those 2 things are what's going to dictate what length shock, so from here to here, what length shock you can put on, okay? So, and remember, it's it's all about droop. So you want to, what happens is you end up having to move this point up, right? And then this point will follow. So it just depends on what you're trying to do. But if you put on, say for instance, you really should have a 10-inch shock, but you put on a 14, then what's going to happen is when you go to travel up, the shock's going to bottom out. And that's also bad. That's where you break off the mounts. You know, you're going to have other issues. So you really, getting this right is important. You can't just bolt on a shock. You know, part of it depends on what the upper shock mount looks like and the lower shock mount, and matching all of these things on the front and the rear, okay? That's all important. Any more questions?
Yeah, Jorge asks, what about full hydro?
Well, okay, so the full hydro only solves the steering problem, right? You still have the drive shaft problem. So here's what we've learned. If you want the Reader's Digest version here, we've learned that a 14-inch travel shock is the max that the drive shafts and the steering can handle, okay? So if you want to go, if you're determined to go to a 16-inch travel shock, then you're gonna have to go with full hydro. But remember, your drive shaft can only do so much too. Now, I know what you're saying is, hey, I know that there's certain companies that make, you know, high angle drive shafts. Well, don't be fooled. If you buy a high angle drive shaft, it has to run at a high angle all the time or it doesn't lubricate properly. If you go down to flat, like a lot of our Jeeps are designed to be, like a Tracer, runs that front drive shaft flat until it's ready to articulate. If you run the high angle drive shaft flat, it'll burn up and explode. So
Nick Lee says, hey Tony, looking good. Happy belated birthday.
thanks.
Does GenRight currently or have any plans to make a twisted pitman arm for the PSC big bore steering box?
No. So what we do on that, for our Elite kit, is we put the twist on this end. So if you notice, we don't bolt this straight down. We put an insert in the upper arm that's at an angle, and that helps to fix the length or range of motion in the system for a JK or JL.
Ricky Turner says, I have OTK steering, including over the pitman arm. So is that a mistake, or is a twisted pitman even more important?
Well, the twisted pitman arm, it is not only is it twisted, it's double shear. Can I pull that up on here? It's really, that is a product that is unique to GenRight, and it's amazing.
Jeep Guns and Tacos says, this is why I have Jeep West do all the suspension on my Jeep.
Because
it's complicated.
It takes no out, and you know, if you don't have the ability to lift your Jeep up and down, you know, safely, which requires a lift or a forklift or something, you know. So
Brent Palmer says, so limit straps on a lifted JL to save the shocks?
yes, okay. I don't care if you have a Suzuki Samurai, a Jeep, a Toyota, whatever you have, it should have limit straps on it. If you're taking it off-road where you're going to completely droop out or you're jumping it or anything, you need limit straps.
Bobby Cleveland said, thanks, Tony. Amy always thought I was the smartest guy in the room. She said you explain things better.
Okay, so that's another thing is there's a lot of people in the industry, you know, and that's whether they own a company like I do or they're at a shop or whatever. They try and talk over your head so that they feel good about themselves, right? They so that you feel small. And I don't want to do that. I want people to understand. I try and break it down into layman's terms. I don't like it when people do that to me, whether it's my doctor or whoever. I want somebody to explain it to me, and that's what I'm here to do. Now, not only can I explain it, I make the parts, I use the parts, like it's a whole different deal, right? So that's why I do Tech Talk, because I feel like there's so much misinformation out there. It's just ridiculous.
Brent says Arnold would be proud of your drawings.
Well, I can draw better, but it takes time. Okay, let me pull this up. because
Heath Ironside said, "Hey Tony, so how critical is it for the drag link and track bar to be the same length, and how far is too much if the drag link is longer?" 14 JKU Elite.
so they really. I wouldn't let it be more than like a 1/4 inch difference. It's got to be very, very close. I like it to be dead on, accurate, the same length, because that eliminates bump steer. Now, the way you get it accurate. Actually, let's hang on. Let me show the twisted pitman arm, and then I'll get into more detail on that. Let me.
You're the Jeep Sensei. In Bali, you're a sensei.
Yeah.
Hi, Troy. How are you, buddy?
Troy's on there too, huh? Okay. This isn't the best picture, but this is, you can see, not only is the pitman arm twisted, right? There's the part that hooks onto the steering box. This is then twisted. It's double shear, okay? And when you buy this, we also offer this, which attaches to the top of the high steer arm that is also twisted. So then you're really putting the entire drag link into a neutral position, so you have the entire range of motion on the Heim. And that is how you'll have no bind, you'll get the best life. Bind means wear and eventually break, okay? So you, whatever it is, you have to avoid that. And that's super, super important, okay? Okay, so now we're back to the drag link stuff.
Do you make a twisted pitman arm for a JKU?
No, but what we do is we do the high steer arm has this. And again, it's designed around somebody running one of our axles and stuff. Back here. Come on.
Chris Carey says, all this technical stuff is why I'm going to have GenRight put in my stage 1 kit when I'm ready.
Oh,
Me too.
I want to talk about that. I have some pictures from the last time we were out too. So.
Jeep Sensei, Tony.
Okay, on the JK. Okay, so if you're on our website, just type in steering. And hit search. And this is going to pull up everything related to steering, okay? So here's the JK one. So what I want you to do is order this whole kit, because it's got the tie rods, the Heims, everything turns into double shear. And this little goodie, which actually I want to show this. Okay, so this is what we do on the JK, is we weld this sleeve in at an angle. So it puts this Heim in a neutral position. So it has its entire range of motion. This picture is shot at full droop, and look at the Heim. It looks great. It's not all maxed out and
Where's
nasty.
the Heim?
Right here. This little guy. That guy right
Okay.
there. And this is the sleeve right here.
Okay.
Okay. So if I go back, if I can.
Haribo's asking all these questions about NASCAR. We don't really have anything to do with NASCAR. We're Jeeps.
No, but a lot of, I did. I went back and toured 4 NASCAR plants, teams. Their facilities, Penske, Haas, all of them, and I was closely paying attention to the things that matter to them, and I apply that to what we do in racing and with Jeeps. So yeah, I'm all about it.
Very cool. Heath Ironside says, I'm still fighting with that pitman arm and I'm more than an inch longer with steering wheel straight.
Yeah, we may need to try a different pitman arm. I think it got broached incorrectly. I think it did.
Ginger says hi. Hi, Ginger. How you doing?
And,
Patrick said that's why I left it to the experts to build my tracer.
right.
Hi, Patrick.
Yeah, sometimes the pitman arm didn't get broached wrong. It's the clocking on the sector shaft.
What is
In the
broached?
steering. Wow.
What's that mean?
Okay. Let me see if I can find a picture for you.
Are you saying that's a dumb question,
No,
Tony?
no. Sorry, that's one of those things I just take for granted.
Something like installed?
No, not at all.
Broached. Healing, Ginger said. Almost slept through the show. Oh no, we're in Bali. It's Thursday morning here. We're 15 hours ahead of Los Angeles time, Pacific time. Yeah, car guys are always car guys. Yep. Yep, he knows his stuff. You're right. He's not an American, but he's got the spirit to live to love NASCAR. Haribo.
Let me see if I can.
Yeah, that's cool. Maybe at the end we can walk over and see if we can find a monkey to show him before we get too far from the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it doesn't take much before we get too far away.
But it also doesn't take much to find a monkey. There's lots of them. Like last night there were like 6 of them up on the roof and one was drinking from the pool. I'm a little scared of them. We went to the monkey sanctuary and right at the beginning, one of them snuck up on the railing behind Tony and grabbed his shirt all hard and then was like baring his teeth, like hissing at him. I was like, oh, I screamed and ran. Rich R says, coming to my senses, I think my Jeep needs an appointment for an oil change at GenRight.
Okay, here we go. Here's a great example. So this is when you put an intricate pattern inside of a piece of metal. You broach. It uses a broach tool to cut those edges inside there.
Oh.
And this is how your drive shaft works. This is how you key things like the pitman arm on the steering box.
Oh.
So they do that on the steering box because they don't want some idiot in an auto shop to put on the stupid thing in a different position, and then you get in your vehicle and it's, to go straight. You got to turn funny. So that's what a broach is. And you can broach the inside, and then you broach the outside to have the matching piece with that.
You're welcome, Amy. I'll ask the girl questions.
That's okay. That is okay, 100%. And all I did was a search on Google for broached spline, and I was able to pull that out.
She refers to the steering stabilizer as the lay-down shock. That's good. That makes sense to me.
So, and a steering stabilizer is built different than a shock.
I like that.
So a shock on your Jeep has a different compression. So say the compression would be harder and the rebound would be faster, because what you're trying to do is get the wheel back on the ground. So you want to soak up the bump and then try and get the wheel back down. Otherwise you have no traction. A steering stabilizer, not only is it laid sideways, but it's 50% dampening both ways. Okay, so it doesn't have one way that's hard and one way that's fast.
Ah.
All right, so it's not just a shock. That is a steering stabilizer is totally different than a shock, even though it looks the same.
He says that's what I was thinking. It's been driving me crazy. I'll order a new one up. I believe this is the one that came with the PSE steering.
And it could be the sector shaft too, that it's just off, and that sucks because that's a whole nother problem.
Esteban asked, does the stage 1 steering come with the drag links bracket, or does it not need it?
Stage 1. What? Okay. So the stage 1 JK Elite does not need that because the arm is moved way up. So we keep the whole thing within the range of motion. So you're set on that one.
Haribo says, I enjoy dune-related drags and races. I bet he does as well. It's the thought of cars that can go on every terrain man ever came across.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm into anything on wheels, and if it has a motor, even better. I love it.
Yep.
I love it.
The monkeys might grab your hat. Yeah, they might.
They will. They'll grab your glasses. They'll grab your phone.
These monkeys here in Ubud are pretty tame, but in Uluwatu, I went with my aunt last year, and those monkeys are straight up jerks. They will steal your glasses, they'll steal your phone. If you don't give them food right away, they'll take your phone to the top of the tree and drop it so it smashes on the ground like hundreds of feet up. They're mean.
Okay, so this is the question he was just asking about the stage 1. I just happen to have a picture on my iPad. So what we do is we give you all the proper safety washers and the right hardware and everything, and you're well within the range. And by the way, this is like the next picture I want to show you. This is the drag link right here. Let me get my pen because my finger's fat. This bar right here, and right behind it that you can't see is the track bar.
That's parallel.
That's parallel. It's exactly the same length, and it's parallel, and that's how you eliminate bump steer. So when I see all these other companies offering these parts, you know, you're putting on one piece of the 2-piece, which actually is not only 2 pieces, but it's like 4 things that have to line up in order to make your Jeep drive properly. So it goes back to what I always say. Bolt-on will only get you so far. And you're bolting on to all the factory brackets, which were never made for all the stress and leverage we're putting on things. So that's why we just sell you all new stuff. You cut off that old junk, trust me, it's junk, and weld on the good stuff. Okay?
Anthony asks what's for dinner. He hasn't been able to get on for a while, so he's missed the dinners.
What have we been having? What did we have for dinner last night?
Well, Anthony, we're in Bali, so it's going to be something in Balinese and interesting. Like, maybe we'll try what was it, like Bobby Goring?
You had some kind of kebabs last night.
Everyone keeps recommending baby pig.
Oh God.
We're a little scared,
we don't
but
have the heart for that.
I do. I will eat babies.
The Balinese rave about it.
Yeah, they all love that one.
So apparently it's like a delicacy.
Today we're going on a tour. Right after this, we're going to a waterfall.
Actually, we were supposed to leave at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And we delayed it so we could do this.
Yeah, because we love you.
And we're getting a late pickup, so. But it's like an Instagram tour where we're going to go to all these sites to get pictures. And Jennings has been posting a ton of pictures. I posted some over on my personal page, and you can go over there and check them out. It's amazing. We're getting some crazy good pictures from all this.
Waterfall today, and a temple, and some shopping, and a day club, which is like, I don't know, hot tubs and pools.
So none of this compares to our second day here. Our second day here, the first thing we did was went and see a shaman.
That was so cool.
And that was a shaman is a combination of kind of like a priest and a doctor.
Yeah.
And trust me, that's like way layman's terms right there. Very spiritual. And,
it was a woman.
This one was a woman, and you wait. You wait your turn to get in there, and they do it individually, and you have to wear special traditional wear, and it's cool.
It was so neat.
Then after that, we went to the cleansing waters.
Yes.
In this special holy water that comes from a spring in the ground, and again, very spiritual. Very, you have to bring an offering, and you worship at each stop, and it's pretty cool. I'm glad we started out the trip that way.
Yeah.
And this is my shaman bracelet right here. Special colors.
That's protection.
Protection.
From like the 3 gods. Steven Shinkles asked, what is the correct pinion angle for a JKU with 5-inch lift?
Okay, so the pinion, let's talk about that for a second. So when you get your Jeep stock, right, the diff cover is going to look like this. This will come down. It'll look something like this, right? And you'll have your U-joint yoke right here. And it's pretty much at what I would call 0, okay? Then as you lift the Jeep, right, this starts to rotate, not in the right direction. So if you think about that, okay, so yeah, let's get the picture like pretty straight with the phones. Okay, so now your factory control arms, they come in like pretty straight off of here, right? So now as you lift the Jeep, this starts to rotate, okay? But the bad part is, what's happening is your caster on your knuckle is also rotating. So your caster's, going like this, right? It just keeps going around. Now, what you want is you want your caster back like this. By the way, factory spec is 6 degrees, okay? And by the time most people lift their Jeep, this is at 0 degrees, okay? And that's terrible. To fix it, what they do is the alignment guy will turn this, and then your drive shaft starts running like this, okay? To get caster back in. Okay, what we do is we set the knuckles like this, then we have, say, the diff cover here, right? And then what we do is the differential then comes up like this. So ideally what you want is to get the proper caster. You can see that the pinion starts to point up, okay? And that's what you want, because then your drive shaft, this U-joint, is in a neutral position, just like the Heim joints in your steering. You want this in a neutral position, and then this one works less hard. This diagram here, both of these are working hard, okay? Because you can see that's not working out, okay?
Heath says it's only off by a spline or two. It just needs to clock to passenger side half an inch or so. I hope it's not the gearbox. Fingers crossed for Pitman arm, even though it's hard to get off.
Yeah, okay, so if it is the gearbox, I want you to return the gearbox for a different, like exchange it for a different one. Here's the deal. That big box never was intended for a Jeep. Typically what I do is I get the standard steering box for a Jeep if I'm running Ram Assist. I usually only do the big box if I'm only running the steering box and no Ram Assist. So hopefully that gives you some options in that explanation.
Steven asks, is the angle the same for front and rear?
So the rear is a lot easier because the rear you can rotate. So if you think about, in fact, I'll just draw the rear on this side, right? Because this might be the rear. And the rear is typically not a high pinion like this. It's a standard kind of a pinion, okay? So when you think about the rear, what happens is, so say this is stock, right? And then you start to lift the Jeep, this just rotates down, and you just rotate the differential up. Okay, the only downside is that all the brackets for the control arms were welded on like this. So the brackets start to get twisted and weird. So that's why, again, we just cut the brackets off and weld new brackets in the proper locations that are heavier duty. Because remember, you put on bigger tires, you've changed the gear ratio, you got a ton more torque. The stock brackets were never, ever, ever designed for more than, say, a 33-inch tire. And you're just beating the daylights out of those things. So you need to get them in the proper position so that they can work well, again, in a neutral position where they have the most strength. Trust me, all of it, I know other people don't even think, you go to your typical off-road shop, they don't even think about this stuff. They just want to bolt on your equipment and get you out the door. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about doing it right, and doing it right the first time. You know what GenRight stands for, right? Genuine ideas engineered right. And that's the only way I want to do it. I just, going cheesy just burns you out somewhere out on the trail or on your vacation, and that's just not good.
Heath says it's Ram Assist.
Yeah, so you could go back down to a regular box. You don't need that extra big box, which by the way was made for a top kit truck. Okay, not a JK. It just happens to fit in a JK, and PSC sells it as a solution for people that aren't running a Ram Assist. Okay, so I know there's so much stuff out there. I'll call it. That's the nice way to put it.
It's already 8:55.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got a few more minutes.
5:55.
Right, yeah, we got a few more minutes for questions. These are great questions, by the way, and I hope I've explained this properly. The only one we didn't get to, really, was the proper track bar stuff. So I'm going to draw two images here. This is your steering box with your pitman arm, and this would be your track bar bracket. Okay, and then I'm just going to draw a simple axle to keep it all simple, and we're going to have the steering here and the track bar here. Okay, so I'll turn this so you guys can see it. When I talk about the track bar, this track bar comes through to here. And by the way, you want these as straight as possible is ideal. And this would be,
Oh, look at this guy.
oh, nice little lizard, huh? Oh, that's the one with the yellow.
It's like a salamander, dude. They're weird looking. He just crawled by. I wanted to say hi. While Tony draws.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
Drake Welding asks, what would you say is the correct caster angle on a Jeep made for going faster in the desert? And does that change when running full hydro?
No, it does not change when running full hydro. So let me explain it like this. If you buy a very fast car,
There's another one.
back on.
They run past.
Okay, if you buy a fast car, Porsche, BMW, an AMG Mercedes, something that hauls on the Autobahn, 10 degrees caster, okay? The reason is when you let off the wheel comes back straight. So you actually have to pull in order to get the wheels to turn. You're applying force, and when you let go, it comes back to straight. That gives the vehicle stability, okay? So even from the factory where they say like 6 degrees,
Squirrel.
that's
Totally.
not much caster. And when you think about like a shopping cart, you know, and you see the by the way, those wheels on your shopping cart to make you turn are casters, okay? So when they're all flopping like that means they don't have enough, okay? So again, 10 degrees, as close to 10 as you can get, whether it's full hydro or whatever. And by the way, that setting is at ride height. When it droops out, it's going to get less. You can't change that, right? It's just the mechanics of the way the links work. But it's at, you want everything set at ride height. Okay?
Questions?
Yeah.
What would you say is the correct... Oh, no. Just kidding. What PSI would you run on a 37-inch Mickey Thompson Baja Boss on a 2017 Jeep JKU hard top with beadlocks automatic for the street?
I'd probably stay right around 30 to 32 pounds. Your factory spec is going to be higher, and it also depends on how much stuff you have in the vehicle. But you got to remember, a beadlock wheel isn't built with the same kind of construction that a standard wheel is. You know, a standard wheel from the factory are tested at 60 psi on full load. Okay, well, I would never put 60 psi in a beadlock wheel. Those bolts would shoot out of there like bullets and kill you. You've got to understand the physics of what you're looking at. You know, you're looking at a ring that's bolted on, and those bolts only have a certain load capacity, and I don't know how you assemble your beadlocks, but I use grease or anti-seize on the threads of every bolt. All of that is very, very important. Otherwise, what happens is when you tighten it to the 15 or 18 foot-pounds of torque, you may not be getting the actual load, and what you might be doing is actually stressing the head on the bolt. And if, God forbid, somebody over-tightened it, then the bolt is compromised and weakened. So these are all very important things, and I've done whole tech talks on, you know, how to do a beadlock and everything. You guys can go back on YouTube and check that out. We catalog all the live tech talks on there, so you can always go back.
Mom says, go to cook dinner, pork chops.
Oh.
Enjoy the rest of your trip
That's
and
right,
travel
it's dinner
safely with angels on your shoulders. By the
Yes.
way, your angels send a thank you note for the rest they're getting.
So yes, I have been getting a lot of rest. That's fantastic, and massages. Yeah.
Bobby Cleveland
needed.
says Curry 7040 spline Auburn electric locker bad. Is Detroit Auto what I should go with?
So there's a gentleman right now at Auburn, Greg Melentes, who is seriously spearheading solving any bad Auburns out there on the market. You can call Greg over there at Auburn, just call direct. He will get that solved for you. Auburn is a great locker. If for whatever reason you've decided you're going to change, my preference is the Eaton Detroit locker in the back, or you can do the Eaton E-locker. Those are also options for you.
Anthony said, do you recommend a drop track bar bracket along with a drop pitman arm on a TJ?
So that is the industry's normal solution. That is not what I like to do. Okay, so back to the paper. So what we typically do is your factory TJ pitman arm comes down here and mirrors the back of the steering box. Okay, we like to cut that off and put on an external heavy-duty track bar mount that allows you to make the track bar and the drag link the exact same length. Okay, and then you can use a twisted pitman arm like we talked about earlier to solve not putting on a drop pitman arm.
He says, great vacation show. Built to crawl. Oh wait, Rich R. Another coming to my senses is needing more caster and seeing the Ford SD60 has 10 degrees of separation and would be so much stronger than a Rubicon axle.
Yeah. Well, we didn't even talk about that. So the normal, like if I put the factory ear on the top of the differential and then you put a control arm mount on here. So normally these 2 points where the upper control arm and the lower control arm mount, these can never be less than 9 inches apart. Okay, so from there to there, you want 9 inches. Okay.
Okay. Derek.
Front or rear, by the way.
Oh, Mad Mike, question on your aluminum rear fenders for the JL. Can your customers order ones that are wider?
Not for the jail. No, we only make the one width.
Okay. Derek Moore says you could always run the old school Bronco steering box on the outside of the frame and notch the frame and get as much up travel as you want. Yeehaw.
Yeah, that just requires you going to a super wide axle, right? Because otherwise everything's like way in there.
Okay, we're caught up.
Awesome.
And it's 9:03.
Okay, so we've done more than the whole hour.
Let's see if we can find a monkey.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go.
If we lose the signal, we'll
That'll
say
be the end of the
goodbye.
show.
Yeah. But
All
let's
right.
go check
Well,
it out.
thanks everybody for joining us. This is awesome.
Coming to Bali with us.
Around. I'll look around see if I can see. I don't see any on the roof. Every time I see this thing.
There's constant monkey statues everywhere too, so it's like, oh, is that a monkey? Oh no. Okay, we'll see.
Oh, right here, huh? Right here. There's 2 of them. There's 2 here. Slide over this way. Check it out. They're just looking at us. Oh, there's a 3rd one. A little dude.
Monkeys! Derek said, I found one. There's one right in front of you wearing a yellow hat. Awesome.
So look this way at the wall. That wall over there is the edge of the monkey forest. That ornate looking wall.
They sit up
So
there.
these guys are escapees.
Yeah, they go wherever they want.
Yeah. Oh.
Monkey fight.
They wanted that piece of grass, even though there's plenty of them around. And a lot
Tony's
of the
all
time,
business. Jennings is comic relief and play. That's
they
right.
use their tail a lot of the time. They'll put their tail up on an upper. Oh boy, there's lots of them now.
Well, I can't pretend I understand this pitman arm stuff. None of this.
Look at that guy goes upside. Okay, they're going for more little grass. They like that grass.
This is probably the only time. This is Bali. The only tech talk we'll ever have with monkeys in it.
Yeah. Yeah, usually I'm the only monkey on the show.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, everybody. Suksma.
Suksuma.